welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith, and we are back on the 7th continent once again. This is part number 2 of our journey, and if you haven't checked out the prior videos of the showcase that will help you understand how we got to this point, I'm going to put a link in the top right-hand corner to the full showcase with the unboxing, the setup video, and the overview in part number 1. These will all help you get caught up. If you've already watched those videos, you're raring to go, and thanks to you guys that watched to this point, have already given a lot of great feedback in the comments on prior videos to help me make better decisions going forward. At least as much as we can possibly do together without or with the unknown element thrown in that the 7th continent will constantly throw at you. So in this particular video, the very first thing I threw back to you guys going into it was what to do next. We have hunting to the south of where Mary currently stands. We have the option in her space to potentially dig up some treasure, and we know we have the availability, if we want to potentially craft a shovel, which would help in that digging for a treasure. Now, I don't know if we'll actually get treasure there or get anything at all. Something terrible could happen, but my fingers are crossed that it will turn out positive. The first thing everyone wanted me to do, though, was to hunt. I agree with you, so let's start with that. The hunt action is listed right on the card, as you can see right here, and depending on the number of successes that I end up getting, I can take the corresponding number of 30 cards. So if I get 3 to 4, I can take one 30 card, 5 to 7 is 2 30 cards, and 8 plus is 3 30 cards. And this is likely going to increase my odds at a successful hunt or a better hunt. So I really want to put a bunch of successes behind this. Again, it's hard to know exactly how many I want to put beyond 3 to 4, which is the guaranteed level I need. But right off the gate here, I have my bolas, and that is something I could use right now in order to obtain 3 stars as well as 2 stars with the 7 inside of them. The bolas, which is in my inventory, does have the hunt icon on it, which is the target icon. So the successes I've already discussed. What we need to see when we go ahead and resolve action cards is I'm hoping to find some 7s. An example of one of those 7s of what it might look like when I resolve action cards is the 7 on the card itself. Obviously, I can't use that one right now, but when I resolve cards from the action deck for this hunt, I'm hoping to find 7s, because if I do, these 7s with a star will convert to a success. Otherwise, they don't count for anything. So as of right now, I'm going into this already with 3 successes, which does guarantee that my hunt will be successful, at least initially, in terms of finding something, right? Now that, my friends, is a very, very successful result with these 2 cards that I just pulled. As you can see, we did get a 7. We also have a single success here, and we have another single success over here. Plus, we can actually physically join one of these stars together to create another success. So that's 4 successes just off of the 2 cards I pulled, plus now we can go over here and add the additional 3. So just so there's no confusion, this 7 right here converts one of these 7s to a success. The other one is still nothing. So that's 1 success. Then I've got 3 gold stars right here, so that's up to 4 successes. A 5th success here, 6, and finally 7. That's a really, really great number, and was just 1 shy of the highest result I could have gotten. Now I need to determine which of these 2 cards I may want to place in my hand. Now currently in my hand I have 5 blue skill cards, so 1 card is going to have to be removed from my hand. I likely will be discarding this Think card. It is a good card, but I don't really want to use it just yet. So this is the one that I know is going to be discarded in order to make room for one of these 2 cards. And honestly, this decision is really tough because a club guarantees that I have something to help me with another hunt in the future, plus it has a high durability rate, so that's a big time plus. On the left hand, we have a card that can be used once, but it's going to immediately drop the cost of an action by 3, which is also really helpful. But at the end of the day, I think the club is probably what I want to grab. And this is what I found from my hunt, a stone-eating crab. It says you spot a kind of small gray and red crab with short, flat pincers that do not really look like a threat. Well, that's good news. It's just going to be the food in this particular resolve. Just so you guys know, the 30 cards, there were 3 of them in the box. Shuffled them up, grabbed 2 at random, showing them to you here. It states now on the actual hunt card that we have some actual text to go through in order to resolve this hunt. The hunt action states that we reveal these cards as we just did down here. If at least one involved character is bloody, you must discard one of these cards without the keyword predator. We don't have to do this as we don't currently have the red state card or condition bloody, so that's good news. And then we choose one of the remaining cards, which represents the result of your hunt, and return the other cards. So in this case, obviously out of the 2, I'll be taking the one that allows me to take 2 001 cards. I've gone ahead and pulled 2 001 cards, and they resulted in meat. So I will be talking about this in a second as I put them into my inventory, and I plan to combine these together into the same available slot that I have, and I'll show you that momentarily. Another thing to notice is the temporary event that had the hunting on it is now gone and is replaced by the gold version of that same number, 158, which is a permanent event that stays here. And we'll go ahead and read that right now. There were few signs of animal life in the surrounding area, and what little there were seemed to have been alerted by your presence. You are no longer hopeful of trapping anything here. Taking a moment, you decide to ponder your options. Where to now? Down at the bottom of the card, it states immediately after this is revealed, you may discard 2 blue skill cards from your hand in order to choose 1 blue card or skill card in the discard pile and add it to your hand. Now this is a really tough decision, and I don't have to do it, but I do really want to pull a card out of my discard pile back into my hand that I use to further the actual quest around the Forbidden Sanctuary curse that we're trying to achieve, and that is to kind of trigger the ability to pull those 50 cards again. I really liked the Examine the Notes card that allowed me to go ahead and find one of the secrets that had to do with the curse we're on. So I'm going to go ahead and discard 2 of these cards, and both of them are actually really good. One gives me experience if I'm successful, so I really don't want to necessarily get rid of that. And the other one's a good leadership ability, but I don't have or need this type of ability at this point in the game and could potentially fish it out of the discard pile later on. So now I'm going to discard these 2, take the Examine the Notes, put it into my hand. I've gone ahead and placed one of the meat cards in my inventory slot, the last one, because I have a max of 4. Durability for this meat is 1, so I've set the die to 1. I have a second one that I got as part of the hunt as well, and because the keywords are a match as they're identical cards, I can combine these. This is the first time I'm actually combining anything in my inventory slots, and that's going to bump the durability from 1 to 2. As an action on my turn, I can choose to eat this meat, and if I do, it states I can randomly take 3 cards, 6 if I have a fire resource, from the discard and shuffle them back into the action deck. This is one of the primary ways to be able to get your action deck bolstered back up. In other words, your energy or your life. So eating is definitely important, and the ability to do this twice over would allow me at the bare minimum to get 6 cards back into my hand. Now I could wait to hope to create a fire to get a lot more back for this meat. So for now, I might just hold on to that, but you have to realize I want to create a shovel, and as of right now, I've got 4 things taking up 4 different inventory slots. So if I want to create a shovel, I literally have to discard or get rid of one of the actual items in my inventory, which is not going to be fun to choose. Now this is a really tough call, and I've kind of pondered over this, and there's different ways this could end up playing out, but at least in my mind, as of right now, we know 6 is what we get back from the discard pile if I eat both of these right now, which is good. Could be 12 if I can get a fire made, and that's what I'm gunning for. That's a difference of 6. When I'm looking at my walking stick, the best it's going to be able to do for me in terms of saving me action cards is 4, because -2 with 2 uses is just -4. So it's actually better for me to hold on to the meat, hope to cook it later, than it would be to use the walking stick right now. So we're going to cross our fingers that that's the right decision. The tough part is we might get to a situation if the action deck gets too low that we need to just eat that meat anyway, but I'd like to have that possibility to get the best bang for buck for the 2 pieces of food we just found. So the walking stick is going to get tossed, and we're going to go ahead and attempt to create the shovel. The good news is in the location I'm currently at, we do have the bamboo resource, so I can go ahead here and take -1 off of the cost of 3 to get 0 successes. So I only have to spend 2 action cards to craft this item. The 2 cards that I pulled for this action are the Valiant Heart Shall Not Fail and Knowledge is Power. We didn't need any successes, but we got a whole bunch anyway, so we successfully crafted the shovel. I can choose which one of these 2 I want to keep in my hand. Currently in my hand, I only have 3 blue skill cards, so I have the availability to take 2 more, but in this decision, I can only take the 1. I'm probably not going to take Knowledge is Power, as I already have a couple experience points, and I would love to normally take this. This one looks really good, though. It states, you may discard this during the result step of an action you are involved in order to apply the following effect, which is 2 successes, so that's huge, and take a 101 card. The shovel has been crafted and placed now in my inventory with a durability rating of 4. And just before I go ahead and try to dig up what I hope to be some treasure, I'm using a blue skill card from my hand called Examine the Notes, and this allows me to do an action I've done before in part number 1. When I'm pulling 50 cards, I'm instead able to use my clue card, which allows me to randomly take 3 of the 4 450 cards and pull them out one at a time to create a number. After revealing 3 of the 4 450 cards, I got a 4, 1, and 4. Death, the butterfly, and the spider. Following your instinct, you pull your journal out of your satchel and open it to a random page. To your great surprise, you find a piece of parchment with a tower drawn on it next to a partially faded, enigmatic note. Room of the H. Trust the one that does not look to the east. This is Secret of the Sanctuary 4 of 6. You know from part number 1 that we had this secret revealed to us, so I'm looking to find as many of these, and if I'm lucky enough, I can be able to gobble all of them up to help me as we try to traverse through the Forbidden Sanctuary as safely as possible. Now Mary Kingsley, who is currently right here, is going to go ahead and take that action to dig, and we need to pull 4 cards at the bare minimum to get 0 successes. So we know we're going to pass this, but we're going to expend some energy. So in order to drop how much we need to actually draw from the action deck, I am going to use my shovel. My shovel's durability rating is going to go from 4 down to 3. And as you can see in the bottom portion here, the benefits I get from this is -2 when making a dig action and or a 7 with a star, meaning it's going to increase my chances of success. But as I already noted, we don't need any successes to pull this off. I simply at this point just need to pull 2 action cards from the deck. Here are the 2 action cards that I pulled from the top of the deck, and as we don't need successes in order to pass this check, we can simply go ahead and decide which of these 2 I would rather keep. That is a really good question. This truly is a hard decision because both of these could certainly be useful for me in the future. The pan pipes, the interesting thing about them is the fact that you can see here having bamboo resource in the location I'm in would make this actual crafting very, very cheap to pull off, which is nice. It does have keywords that I currently don't have in my inventory, so I couldn't combine them. That's the negative with that one. On the deadfall trap, though, you'll notice it's aggressiveness as a keyword, which would have been nice earlier on before I tossed one of my items that actually used the aggressiveness keyword, but this is still a good one because I can use it when dealing with hunting or sleeping. So that's probably the one I want to go after, really, at the end of the day. There is one card in my hand, however, that does have the same keyword, and that is the club. So in other words, I could eventually craft the club and then combine the deadfall trap with it to boost its durability from a 3 up to a 5. I definitely should have made this more clear when I actually went ahead to do the dig, but just so you know, I am absolutely using my treasure map here. It states when I do the dig, which is the exact same amount of cards that I already pulled, 4 and 0, that's the same check value as what's over there. It states to take a card whose number is equal to the number of your terrain card plus 16 from the adventure deck if available, and then of course you have to check to make sure you've pulled the right card. If it doesn't, or it isn't the right card, you'll know based on the thumbs up icon. So plus 16 onto the 225 that's currently there is going to be a total of 241. Now I want to be sure that I mention this. I am trying to see whether this lines up with the treasure map that I have. As you can see right down here, the action's exactly the same. Take 4 action cards looking for 0 successes. Take a card whose number is equal to the number of the terrain card plus 16 from the adventure deck if available, If it is not the right card, return it. Now, I did go ahead and actually attempt to grab cards based on using this treasure map to add to the values. And no matter which card I pulled, whether it be for 225, where I'm currently at, and adding 16, or for this terrain card itself by flipping it over and looking at the number, which is 241 plus 16, no matter what, the numlocks on the cards that I found for those when adding them together were not a match to the card that I'm currently on. So this actual treasure map is not leading me to this particular position. So in this particular case, the treasure map is not going to gain me anything. However, I still pull 225 as indicated right on the card that I'm currently sitting on. So I was hoping to find whatever this treasure map was leading to. This appears not to be the spot though. 225 states, the soil is loose and seems to have been turned over. Whimsical pirate stories from your childhood come to mind and you start to dig, curious to see what kind of treasure might be buried in the sand. It proves quite easy at first, but as you get deeper, the sandy soil slides back down into the hole, forcing you to dig twice as hard. Immediately after this is revealed, take a 310 card from the adventure deck if available. While digging, you come face to face with a mole rat that looks quite unhappy that you intruded into its home. The action on this card states that I need to fight, and as you can see here, 2 action cards for a minimum, but I can add more if I want, trying to get 2 successes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my shovel in order to reduce some things. So first off, this action right here with the sword is the same action over here, so I can use this shovel. I'll reduce its durability from 3 down to 2 in order to gain the effect -2 action cards necessary to pull during this, which means it will reduce it to 0, and I get a 7 and a star, and again that will convert to a success if I happen to pull a 7 during the results or resolution step. And this is where things get fun. So as you can see, my durability on the shovel has gone down to take advantage of the abilities on the card, but now I'm going to choose to resolve. And you might be wondering, well, why now? You haven't pulled any cards. How are you going to get any successes? Well, remember that wonderful card I put in my hand here, Valiant Hearts Shall Not Fail. It states on it, you may discard this during the result step of an action you're involved in order to apply the following effect. 2 stars, and take a 101 card. The 101 card states, you are feeling increasingly drowsy and are struggling to stay awake. You cannot wait to find a safe, comfortable place to rest. It appears there was a con to taking those 2 successes. I now feel tired after trying to take this thing out, and you can see right here it has the X to the action card. That means that at this point in time, I have to discard an action card from the top of my deck for every single other red state card in my hand, and I have 1, which is Mary Kingsley. So you can see over time these state cards in your hand can really gum with you. So this is going to cause me to remove 1 card from the top of my discard pile and throw it in the discard. In this case, it happens to be a torch, which is quite unfortunate. So that is going to go away. This card will now go into my hand, and I can choose to rest in order to get rid of this at some point. The tired card has now been added to my hand, and you can see as a success result, thanks to the shovel taking out this mole rat before it can bite me, I've gone ahead and pulled card 001, which is another piece of meat. And I'm most certainly going to go ahead and combine this 1 new piece of meat with the meat I already have in my inventory to bump the die from 2 to 3. I'm really hoping that I'll be able to create a fire soon, because with this much meat on me, I should be able to almost bring back my entire discard pile back into my action deck. I really want to get rid of this tired state that's in my hand right now, so I'm going to go ahead and take the sleep action, which states I can take 0 action cards, but there's a plus, so I can take as many as action cards as I want to try and spend to get 2 successes, hopefully, fingers crossed, in order to return this card to get it out of my hand. I'm going to try to help me with this, use 1 durability from my life jacket. As you can see here, the life jacket, when sleeping, allows me to pull 1 less card, which isn't so much help right now. The one that really helps me is the guaranteed success. So I'm going to go ahead and reduce this down to 3, giving me 1 success going in, and now I have to make a decision on how many more cards I want to pull to try and get 2. Well, I chose 1 card, and the 1 card had 3 successes on it, so I'm pretty sure that I was successful. I was overly successful there and really didn't even need the life jacket to make that one. That's a massive success, and while resolving it, I'm going to take this card into my hand as well, and we're going to go ahead and take this tired state and return this to the box. For my next action, I'm going to do exactly what I stated at the beginning of the video. I'm going to head from where I'm currently located over to here. And I can take this movement action. 2 action cards need to be pulled with 0 successes, and then I can move myself all the way along over to here. I was tempted to go north and check out stuff up top here, but I do really want to see what's out in the ocean while I still have the life jacket. I've gone ahead and pulled 2 action cards for this check, knowing that we don't need to bother looking at successes. It was guaranteed. So I just had to choose which of these 2 cards I want to put into my hand if I want to put either of them in there. And this one over here says you may take 1 additional 200 card or 2 additional 300 cards the active player chooses, even if the action was a failure, discard this. And that has all to do, if I'm not mistaken, with fishing. So that could be very, very good on the food side of things. But then the one on the left is a raft, which would likely be even better than having the life jacket, potentially, depending on how things shake out. And it also is giving us a different icon, which could result in different things resolving. I really like the idea of having that raft. So I think at this point, I'm probably going to take the raft because I right now have 4 blue skill cards in my hand. So this will be my 5th. So Mary has made it all the way west and is looking west out towards what appears to be a sandbar based on this card right here that I could wade out to, which I'm going to attempt to do now. And hopefully this doesn't result in something terrible happening to me, because that's probably what will happen. I do have a raft with me now, but I do have the life jacket actually in my inventory, so I can use this life jacket as I'm doing a very similar action, which is to swim. So I'm going to choose to drop down the durability of the life jacket by 1 in order to not use the one on the right, although it's very tempting. This would actually have me remove 3 action cards from the pull that I'm doing for the action I'm trying to accomplish, but that's a little over aggressive at this point in time. Plus, I'd have to banish the life jacket, which I don't want to do. So I'm going to take advantage of this side. The reason I have a choice is because the icon for swim is in both spots, so I can choose either one. I'm going to choose this one over here. So it says -1 to the draw, which makes this free, and it guarantees a success. So in other words, I don't need to do anything. I'm just going to throw my life jacket on. I'm not going to pull any cards, and I'm successfully going to be able to go ahead and resolve 120. Now I'm really intrigued by this, and to find out what we're going to run into by wading out into this water, it says a river runs from an underground cave and flows into the ocean. Now check this out. You can see here for the very first time, we're seeing different cards coming into play now. You'll remember that earlier on when we set this game up, we were using the Roman numeral 1s in order to put those fogged areas around these cards. Now we're up to Roman numeral 2, which is a completely different area. So Mary Kingsley has made it across safely. She's now on this piece of land. No idea if this is a larger 7th continent that we're now on or just another island. Who knows? We're just exploring this as we go. And you can see here that there's a statue beside her, which is quite interesting, although it doesn't seem like there's anything we can do to interact with that statue, but it's interesting it's there nonetheless. There's also another weird thing up top here that almost looks like, well, it's not, but the closest thing I can think of is honestly like a stone or idol of a turtle that's been cut in half with like what looks to be vines or something coming through it. Not sure what that is either. It looks really creepy, looks really weird, I don't know. Down below here we can observe something in the water. And then we had the ability, of course, to move from this space for just 1. I am really tempted to take a look down here and see if there's something worth even talking about before going forward. But I know one of my major things I'm trying to accomplish here is to get a fire down, because I really want to take advantage of all the meat that I have on me to recoup my deck, to see whether it's worth pushing on into this new island or continent that I found myself on. So I did decide to go ahead and observe this area down here to find out what is there exactly. I pulled off the top of the deck and got a curse. That's good news because I didn't need any successes anyway, so that card can be discarded. I obviously can't add that into my hand and don't want to. After observing in this area, it states here the cove is protected from the wind and the calm, clear water makes it easy for you to spot quite a few fish. It appears that I found myself an area to fish in, which is going to be huge to gain more food. Again, this works similar to how we hunted on land. Again, the more successes you have, the more cards you'll pull, the better chances that your fishing trip will go well for you. At this point, I don't necessarily need to grab anything more beyond what I have currently. I'd rather focus on trying to find a way to get a fire started. That would be huge. So I'm not going to take this action at this point, but it's good to know it's there. I'm going to focus my attention on this card right here to the west of us. It states, torn off page. A handwritten page seems to have gotten miraculously caught in the branches of a pine-like tree. Take a 50 card and banish this. So again, this is going to be an opportunity for me to go ahead and use the clue card for the Forbidden Sanctuary to hope to find something, I'm hoping, a secret. Instead of pulling the 50 card, as I mentioned, and using this clue ability for the Forbidden Sanctuary, I've gone ahead and grabbed 3 450 cards. The first one that laid down was in the hundreds position, tens, and then ones. So we have 444 across the 3 cards: the spider, the snake, and death. So we're going to go ahead and grab card 444 and find out exactly what we found. Following your instinct, you pull your journal out of your satchel and open it to a random page. To your great surprise, you find an incredibly violent and cruel drawing. Your journal falls from your hands and you struggle to suppress your shock and disgust. This action is something I need to take right now. It's a think or compose myself action. It states I need to pull 2 cards. There is no plus involved, so I can't basically sway how many action cards I'm going to pull to try to get up to 3 successes. I can use cards in my hand or my inventory to help me out though. And as you can see here, based on how this goes, I'll be taking a particular card, whether it's the good or the bad. 2 different types of cards there, I'm sure, that are going to throw curveballs at me. So in order to make sure I pass this, I do have 1 card in my hand called Forewarned is Forearmed, and it's going to give me 1 guaranteed success. I can use this, or discard it, I should say, during the result step of an action in order to apply the 1 success. So I've got 1 success up my sleeve already. I really just need 2 more, and across 2 cards, I'm hoping to accomplish that, as none of the items in my inventory can help me out at this point. So let's go ahead and pull the cards and see how this goes. And that was quite lucky on my part. As you can see here, I got 2 successes, even though this is an amazing card right here. This only gives me 1 success right now. 2 success, and I have to go ahead and use this Forewarned is Forearmed card in order to give me that 3rd success. So I did pass this check, so I will be taking the 103 card, and I can choose out of the 2 cards that I pulled, one of which I want to keep in my hand. And you're going to see something that I'm really excited about, and it's called Friction Fire. I'm absolutely taking this. If I can even find the resource of wood, this will be a quick way to put a fire down and make use of that meat I've been saving up. An old shipwreck lies on the beach in a small sandy cove. A colony of large land crabs seems to have taken residence there. Just as the card mentioned, there is a shipwreck here, and it's on the beach area. We can investigate or go see that. Of course, we have to actually move over here to do it. We've got what looks to be some cracked earth here. That's kind of getting me a little bit more excited that we might be getting closer to the area where we're going to find the treasure, hopefully, because this depiction on the map makes it seem like we need to find some cracked earth. It's getting kind of broken up there. We might, as we explore further north, run into that. We'll have to see. This also has the availability to craft some pretty cool items with the resources that are there. So that's a plus. There is some foliage there as well as vines. So those are useful. We got other things. I'm looking at this thing trying to find hidden numbers. There's nothing on these 2 that I could actually spot off the top, but there's some seagulls here, and there's some small details, some statues, things like that. So I am keeping my eye out in case something pops out at me. The one thing I'm going to do is right now I have 5 blue skill cards in my hand, and honestly I think that I want to actually use one of them to bolster one of the inventory items that I have sitting out right now, and it's the rope card. So I have this rope card with this keyword skill, and I'm going to go ahead and, instead of holding on to this, I'm going to use this to actually combine it with the life jacket. The life jacket has a durability of 2 right now. It also has the keyword skill. So I'm going to combine it in, which will give me 4 pips added to the 2 pips that I already have for my life jacket for a max of 6. The rope has now been combined with the life jacket, and my pips are at a total of 6 for durability now, which is pretty awesome. The maximum I can possibly have on this item. So The next thing to talk about is the fact we got that friction fire card. That's a really important one. I'm going to be really trying to pull this off and actually make use of this. That's another reason I wanted to bolster the life jack, is if I happen to place the fire on this, what looks to be continent that I'm on right now, although it could just be another island in the middle of nowhere, I want to be able to traverse back and forth from where we started this playthrough and where we're currently at now without too much of a cost incurrence on me. So having a really strong, durable life jacket could really help out, especially when I'm just surrounded by water everywhere. So that's my logic, and I'm really hoping to find a particular spot where we can build this friction fire with some wood. So I'm going to probably be moving as my next action to the newly discovered area. So many different decisions bouncing around in my head right now. I'm planning on moving, but everything inside of me is also tempting me to go fishing, even at the bare minimum, to try to add to the meat collection I've got going on. But I'm going to hold off on that and leave that so I can come back to it if I need to later on. If I'm really needing a spot to hunt, I know I've got the option to. So let's take one card off the top here, see what we get, and we really just need to pull the one action card. No successes needed. We got ourselves Lucky Star, and we didn't even get a success anyway. I can choose if I want to keep this. It says you may discard this during an action you are involved in order to apply the following effect: -2 and or 7. Honestly, out of the cards that are in my hand right now, I don't necessarily need this one, but I have the availability to take one more card, so I think I will take this, as technically being able to reduce the cost of an action by 2 is kind of nice. So even though we have something in this space that I'm interested in checking out at some point, I'm going to actually focus on the space that doesn't cost anything to reveal and also give me the ability to see what else is currently around us. And maybe, just maybe, I shouldn't have done that. This says snake. It says you sit down on a stump for a few moments to catch your breath. Looking down, you notice a snake coiled in the brush by your feet. The active player must either discard 2 cards with the keyword stealth from their hand and or inventory in order to discard this immediately, or I have to take the following action. Now, I only have 1 card in my inventory that has the keyword stealth, so the first option isn't an option for me, but ironically, that one item that I'm referring to that has that keyword stealth is something in my inventory called the camouflage outfit, which I can use with this particular action it is trying to push me into right now, which is going to help me get out of a sticky situation because I need to be stealthy or hide, and that's what that action is all about. I need 3 successes and I can pull 1 card or even more than 1 if I want to pass this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to do something pretty awesome. I'm going to make use of the camouflage outfit by knocking down its durability from 3 to 2 in order to take advantage of 2 successes right away and the 7 star. And as long as I see a 7, I can convert that 7 star into a success. This is where the plan comes together. The Lucky Star card that we got just moments ago, I can use this. It states you may discard this during an action you're involved in order to apply the following effect: -2 to your action card pull from your deck. So that's going to deplete this requirement of 1 down to nothing, and or 7, and I'm going to take the and on that option. So I get the 7, and when you get a 7, remember in the results pane of anything, it converts anything you have 7 with a star behind it into a success, which means this right here is now 3 successes. So without having to pull anything, my camouflage outfit, very thematically, just is basically going to help me avoid this snake. So we're going to go ahead and read now what the card states for the successful side of this resolution. It states, slowly, you get up from the stump and move away without disturbing the snake. Card 003 is what you pull right now. A memory from your previous expedition comes to mind. Jimmy, the military demolition specialist, kept repeating, if a stupid rock is stopping you, you'll get rid of it faster with dynamite than with a pickaxe. And this worked out perfectly. We got ourselves an experience point. The tip on this one says sometimes it is wise to postpone an action until you have the appropriate equipment. An example of that would be fishing. I didn't fish because if I do fish, I'm not going to get as much likely as I would have if I had the right equipment or the right ability to interact with that action and make the best of it. So that's a great tip. The thick snow cover hinders and slows your movement to a crawl. Some earthen mounds rise defiantly from the snow, as if refusing to be concealed. Looking closer, it seems a tunnel was dug into the side of one of them. I certainly did not expect this type of terrain this quickly. I thought we were moving into the woods, but I was very, very mistaken here. We're getting into some very snowy terrain. So you can see here on this one, you have to basically ski or snowshoe into this area, essentially, and it's not going to be easy. It's going to expend a lot of energy once you're in there and you start moving further from that location. So getting in there is easy because I can move from here for one, but once you're in there, things are going to slow down, and I don't have anything built to help me with that just yet. So that is going to prevent movement big time for me, or at least not prevent it, but slow me down and burn energy. Over here, we have an investigate, go see action for this cave, which it talked about just a few moments ago on the flavor text for the card, which could be interesting, but also lead me into something possibly scary. There could be a bear in there. Who knows what is inside of that cave. I'm noticing small things on this, like, hey, look, a statue, very similar to the statue we found over here, and also some snowshoe prints over here. So it kind of makes you seem like either there's an animal in the area or that is actually a human that was there at one point. We do have to place 2 more cards to the north and to the west. The 2 cards are now in place. I am definitely interested in what's going on up there, and I have gone ahead and reread my clue card from the beginning of the playthrough, where it talked about, it really was an excerpt that was written by Nichols, and Nichols was talking about the fact that John had died and he had strewn information around and secrets around this area, which are some of the things we've been finding, those pages we've been finding, the secrets of the sanctuary, the 6 of them, those have been written by John. But then at the very bottom of that clue card, it's talking more so about the struggle that Nichols was actually having to survive. It literally says that he was offered shelter, he tried to thank somebody, he was there for days, the snow was everywhere, and the freezing wind was hitting him, he was hungry, and he couldn't find the others. So basically, he just got lost up in the frozen area of this continent, if this is actually a continent we're even on. We haven't even really confirmed that yet. So as I move into this more frozen wasteland, I'm a little hesitant to go in too deep, as I don't want to get trapped in a situation where I can't get out, or my movement slows, or something bad happens to me. But I do want to open up more area so that you guys can help me make an informed decision on what we should do next. So I am going to go ahead and make a movement from where I'm currently at to move into this location right here, because I am very interested in investigating the cave at least, and also checking out the 2 areas around. So I've taken 1 action card off the top of my deck here to pay for the movement cost. I am successful, as I didn't need any actual successes to do this movement. I'm definitely going to take this card and place it in my hand, though. This will be my 5th blue skill card at the moment. It states you may discard this card during the cost of an action phase you're involved in order to apply the following effect: -3. This is huge, because if I go into this winter area and I really don't want to deal with this snow-packed wasteland and I want to get out of here, that will help on the cost side of things to get moving. So Mary is now in this location, and I definitely want to investigate or go see this cave. I don't need any successes, but I need to spend at least 1 in order to do this. So we'll go ahead and draw 1 card off the top. And we got ourselves a paddle. Now this is a card that I don't necessarily need right now. So this is one I'm not going to choose to place in my hand. It does have the aggressiveness and skill keyword. So looking down here at the items that I currently have, not really one that I want. So I'm going to choose not to take this and place it in my hand. So this will go in the discard, but I have successfully gone ahead and investigated this cave, and now we're going to find out exactly what we see there. You are standing before the mouth of a tunnel that seems to have been dug into the rock. Daylight only reaches a few feet into it before being swallowed by darkness. Beyond that, you can only speculate. Oh, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. It says a loud screech echoes through the tunnel, startling you. Immediately after this is revealed, each involved character that is frightened takes a 107 card. Now, I'm not currently frightened, thank goodness, so I don't take a 107 card. I have an action down below to compose myself, and if I do that and get 2 successes, I overcome my fear and take a few steps forward Otherwise, it says you have no interest in investigating the origin of that sound. Now, the good news is this is not a required action that I have to take. There's no red border around it right now, so I can wait on this one. And I can actually explore these areas around me just first to see what I can potentially see around the land before making a hard decision as to whether I want to go into a cave. So let's check out what's to the west of us. It appears we found a bamboo tube. It says you have broken off a little fragment of bamboo that should enable you to breathe underwater. Interesting. Okay, so I don't have to take this. Now, does this have any keyword to it? No, it does not. So a useful thing, but at the same time, nothing I can actually keep or use at the moment, as I don't want to get rid of anything in my inventory slots to put it in there. So although it was nice to find, this is going to go into the past. I guess the positive in that situation is that it wasn't a bad card. It could have been something nasty and it wasn't. This one states, there seems to be a small clearing amidst the close, comforting pines that provide good cover and protection from the wind. Aha, we found a spot. This could be a great spot to go ahead and set up camp. This could be exactly what we're looking for. And there's even what appears to be a shelter down here, if I'm not mistaken. So that's quite interesting. We got some footprints off to the side. Interesting, very interesting indeed. Well, now that we know what's to the west of us, let's head, or at least I shouldn't say head, let's take a look north. And it appears we found a vicious bird. Now this is going to be fun. A very large and aggressive bird shrieks loudly as it swoops towards you. Each involved character may discard any number of cards with the keyword aggressiveness from their hand and or inventory. For each card discarded this way, you get a success during the result step of the following action. So we are going into a full-on fight here. The only thing I can use that can help me in a fight is actually the life jacket, but the life jacket, oh, it's not just the life jacket. The life jacket will help me, but it just helps me to reduce the number of cards I'm pulling, but that does nothing for me, so that's not going to be a good use of that. The shovel, though, I can use in a fight. That will reduce the cost or the number of action cards by 2. And it also gives a 7 with a star. So that can do some conversions for me and get me some extra successes. It does say I need 3 successes to pass this. So in order to help me out in this fight, I'm going to use my shovel, reducing its durability down by 1, which is going to, if I want to, reduce the cost of the battle by 2, but that's not really going to help me because I'm trying to find successes, so I won't really be making use of that. It's an and/or in the middle. I'm going to be using it mainly for the 7 with the success symbol behind it. So if I pull any 7s when resolving my action cards, that one of them can be converted to a success. So that's a plus. The other thing I'm going to do is I am going to discard 1 keyword card from my hand, the Deadfall Trap, with the keyword aggressiveness, which is the same keyword it talked about on the Vicious Bird card, because this gives me a guaranteed success. So now I have 1 success of the 3 I need, and really kind of a 50-50 hope chance that I see a 7 along the way. The next tough decision I have to make is how many cards from the action deck am I going to pull to try to make this happen? And I'm thinking, to be safe, being that it's a very high amount and I've only got 1 success, I might need to pull 3, even though I really am tempted to just pull 2. Well, that did not turn out the way I wanted it to. You can see the 3 cards I pulled right here. I got 3 half stars all on the left-hand side of the success symbol. I didn't get a single right one, so I can't physically create any successes out of this, except for the one that showed up on this card, plus the one I got for discarding the aggressiveness Deadfall Trap card. So that's 2. I was hoping the shovel would give me the 3rd I need with a 7, but I never saw a 7 show up over here. I'm going to do a quick check here to see if there's anything I can do as a last-ditch effort. Now it does say here on Mary's card, her character card, her state card, that during the item step of an action you are involved in, so at this point it's already passed. I can't take advantage of this. But it would allow me to basically have another opportunity to get one of these 7s with the successes. But I still needed to have pulled a 7 as part of the resolution step to activate one of them. So that wouldn't have helped me either. and nothing else I have in my hand would have helped me, so I really did fail this check. There's nothing I can do about it. And because of that, I have to resolve what's on the bottom portion of this vicious bird card for the first time in the game. You struggle trying to evade its wicked hooked beak. The bird eventually tires and you are able to shoo it away. Each involved character takes a 101 card. The 101 card states you're feeling increasingly drowsy and are struggling to stay awake. You cannot wait to find a safe, comfortable place to rest. That's unfortunate. I have found another condition of being tired. As it states right here, I lose a card off the top of my action deck for every single red state card in my hand currently. And also, just to clarify, that does not include the one that I actually just got. So the only one in my hand is the Mary Kingsley one, and this has happened once before. So one card off the top of the action deck is being chucked into the discard pile, and that card in this case is Rudimentary Flint. That's really unfortunate because, look, there was a 7 on that card too. We'll just pretend that never happened. That hurts my feelings. I obviously should have pulled 4 cards for that check. From the 3 cards that I used to complete the check or pull from the top of the action deck, I'm choosing to keep and place in my hand the Snowshoes card. I think that'll come in handy if I decide to craft it. 111 states, massive boulders block the way to the east. This gets more and more interesting the more area of land that I reveal. Now I've found another portion that really makes it seem like the snow is just concentrated in the one area, which is super strange. And as you can see, I just took the snowshoes thinking that it would be the wisest choice, but I may not even be spending that much time in a space with snow, as most of the areas around this pile of snow are just normally traversed with regular movement of 1 or 2. So that might have been a mistake on my part, but I wouldn't have known that until I revealed the terrain going north. I thought there might be more snow going up that way, but we currently now know at least a rough picture of what's going on around us. Now what I want to do is focus on this cave that is here. And this, my friends, is where I'm going to end part number 2 of the journey of the 7th continent to lift the Forbidden Sanctuary curse. You can see we've revealed even more of the area around here, and we have other options to explore. I could continue to explore west, check out this tunnel. I could also drop a fire down. These are the kinds of things I want your input on. The first thing I want to find out from you guys is, where do you think I should create my first fire? Right where I currently am sitting and then consume all the meat available? Or should I strategically place the fire in a certain position? The other thing I want to know is, do you think I should go into this cave? Does it sound like a wise decision to do? Could there be something useful in there? Or should I go somewhere else? Should I discover more of what's going on the west side of this revealed map to this point? Or should I forget this and head all the way back east and head up to the top north portion and check out that one card that I never really dug into very much way up there? Now, I don't know where I'm going to find the next piece, the next secret, the next availability to grab a 50 card and try to use the numbers to pull out another secret from the game to help us when we get inside the Forbidden Sanctuary. But that's what I'm trying to accomplish here, is every single time I grab a 50 card, I'm trying to use that clue card to go after those secrets, because the more of those we get, the more information we'll have when we try to go back inside the Forbidden Sanctuary here. The fun part is, how far away should I start traveling to get this stuff? As you can see, I'm starting to travel quite a ways away. Remember, though, that I can travel great distances when making a movement, so long as it doesn't pass over an area like this. So I could move from where I'm currently sitting right to here in one movement, so right through. It would cost, I'd have to go through the crazy cost expense of that area to get to here, stop because of this break, and then I would traverse over it, and then I could freely move down a little further. Still, movement is costly, my energy is depleting, and I am getting quite hungry. To help in the feedback you guys are going to provide in the comments below, I'll let you see my hand fully. We have the Snowshoes card, Raft, Club, friction fire, and of course the friction fire is going to help us with actually getting a fire started so that we can try to consume the meat. I know that's going to be a high priority. My biggest question with that is when and where. And then down here we have a learning from your mistakes. This will really help me out for a quick reduction of action cards drawn for places like where I'm currently standing in a pile of snow where it's going to take a lot of action cards to get moving. So without having to create the snowshoes or craft them, I could just simply use a card like this. Mary Kingsley's actual character card we've had the whole game long, and I just recently became tired, so I might need to rest away that tiredness, because remember, if you hold on to these state cards, even though you might think, hey, just keep it, it's not a big deal, later on if you accumulate another state card with this particular X on the blue area there, that means you're going to be discarding action cards off the top of your deck for every single one in your hand. So next time it hits me, it'll hit me for 2, because I've got 2 of these red hands if I don't get rid of this tired card. So it's always there. Those states are always haunting you. You don't want to let them pile up. Now, in terms of my inventory, this is what I currently have, their durability rating and any items that I've actually combined together. So the meat here, I've got 3 of them combined. I've got the life jacket here, which is at maximum for 6, which is great. Get us around real easy and also helps us out with a number of different actions, but primarily the swim action. Shovel is on its last legs. I've used it to hit things on the head. I've used it to attack birds. I've used it to dig things up. It's basically almost ready to break, and then at that point, we can maybe create the club, for instance, which might be a better weapon to have with us, which would be super handy, but we could also go ahead and craft the fire first, which would be smarter. Camouflage outfit is another one. We haven't used this one as much, so the durability is kept up pretty well. It started at a 3, it's only at a 2 right now, but at some point in time that could also come in really handy. For those of you interested in seeing all of the clue type items that we have and the secrets that we found about the sanctuary thus far, here they are all on screen. We have the treasure map. This is something I'm trying to find currently. Hopefully we will and get whatever is there. We have a secret of the sanctuary 4 of 6. We picked this one up in this video, so that was awesome. And then we had the secret of the sanctuary 1 of 6 from the very first video. So we seem to be grabbing a secret almost every video thus far. And hopefully, if we get lucky, we'll pick up even more as we go along. And this is, again, another question I want to throw back to you guys. How important do you think it is to find all 6 of these before we start traversing through the Forbidden Sanctuary? Or do we get to a certain amount and try to piece things together and make a push and hope that luck is on our side? Now, even if we have all the secrets, it may not guarantee a safe passage through the sanctuary. I'm sure there's going to be some ups and downs. But the question really becomes is how prepared do we want to be before we venture in there? The last thing I'll mention about eating in terms of restoring your action deck is my action deck is currently at 13 cards. If I place a fire wherever I end up placing it and I consume the meat that I have here at the fire, I get 6 cards back in my action deck for each of them. So a total of 18 cards will be coming back. I also know that there is availability to go fishing here, which could potentially bolster the amount of meat that I'm going to go ahead and consume, which could really bring back even more. So another question to pose along with eating and creating a fire to do that, should I actually go fishing first and then set a fire up and then eat? Or should I just focus on eating what I already have stored in my inventory? With that, that is going to wrap up part number 2 of the 7th Continent Classic Edition playthrough of the Forbidden Sanctuary. Thank you guys so much for watching to this point. Can't wait to see what happens when we move into part number 3 and to read all your feedback and comments below in terms of your strategy and your interpretation of how we're going to lift this curse. Thank you guys so much, and as always, keep on rolling solo.